Jonathan McKinney, and
Hello.
you're watching another episode of Writing, Talking and Dog Walking. As you will see, we are not walking. That is because we cannot film out there because it's a hellscape.
Inclement.
So we are doing it here. We still have the dog. She is much happier right now because she is having a snooze, which is one of her favourite things to do, so she's fine. And yeah, we're still going to be bringing you the writing advice that we want to bring you and hopefully you want to receive. Yes. So today we're going to be talking about why you shouldn't have a passive protagonist.
That's correct. You should not have a passive protagonist.
Do you want to...
Okay, so yeah, the first rule of what a protagonist is that it's a person who wants something. And it's ideally somebody who wants something so urgently that they are actively trying to get it.
Exactly.
So if your main character is passive, and it does happen a lot.
So a passive protagonist, I'll say, is when you are in that character, that's your main character. You're following them, you're seeing things in their point of view, you're following their emotional experience. That's who your audience is connected to. Mm-hmm. But they're passive because things are happening to them. Mm-hmm. Things are happening around them and they are reacting. You don't want them just to be reacting. You want an active protagonist.
Right.
Who is in pursuit of something.
Right. And sort of the story essentially begins when your character transitions from passive to active. That is essentially the moment. The
inciting incident will often be your protagonist being sent in pursuit of something.
Right. Or launched into direct conflict with another who is in pursuit of something that compromises your protagonist's ability to get what they want.
Exactly.
That's good protagonist-antagonist play, and is something really fun to use. Mm-hmm. And certainly, you can't have a passive protagonist for very long without it being an encouragement to your reader to put your book down.
Yeah. If you're expecting people to be attached to your character enough that they want to read or watch your entire story, they have to want something for your character. They have to want something. Your audience has to be invested in what that character is trying to achieve with their life. If they're just bumbling along around and other people are active, like you can have a passive protagonist but everybody else around them is interesting because they're all doing things that your character has to react to. I'm like, well, why aren't I piggybacking on that character?
Sure. Because
that character is doing something. That character is interesting. They are motivated. They are doing things with their life, and I'm stuck with this guy who, not you,
Oh.
the character who is doing nothing other than reacting to other people.
Right. So with mundane to magical stories, you'll still have a sense of mundanity that you're starting with, right? So your main character is Luke Skywalker, and he is bored because he lives on a weird, dusty planet, and his uncle and his aunt send him to buy converters or whatever, and he is bored, and he stands looking at the sun, longing for an adventure. He's passive. What you can't do is leave him in that state for very long.
Yeah.
And I would argue that there is a bit too much time with Luke being passive at the start of that. I remember watching it as a teenager. I mean, take it or leave it. It's just how I felt. It's just my opinion, darling. To go a little Craig. So, yeah, you can't stay passive for long. And if you're transitioning from mundane to magical, the only time you want to spend with your protagonist while they're passive in that state before they get challenged to enter the magical world, and it can be metaphorically magical, we understand this now. The only time you want to spend with them is scenes that demonstrate what it is that's frustrating them about their life.
Yeah. Understand why they become motivated. That's great.
Yes.
Exactly. Like if you
Not
see
too
them...
much.
Yeah. So, for instance, using my writing in Lily Prospero and the Magic Rabbit.
Right.
Her mundane is she starts school,
Yes.
new school, she's unhappy. So you experience Lily's experience of being at school, having no friends, being bored, wanting to be seen and special, and she isn't. She is miserable. Then the inciting incident is when she meets the talking rabbit named Jeffrey.
Yes.
And that's when she becomes active because she discovers this whole world, she has powers.
Yeah.
But you giving your character the mundane, the passive protagonist role for the start of the story roots your audience in why they're unhappy or what is missing from their lives. But you have to then send them on some kind of journey where they are motivated and they are interesting. Otherwise, if they stay passive the whole way through, you have no story. You are just watching a character reacting to a bunch of different things, and that's not interesting.
That's a really easy book to put down.
Really easy book to put down. Really easy film to turn off.
Yeah, you don't want very much. You don't want very much of that before the life begins to transform. Some teachers, some writing experts or whatever, they would tell you to spend no time, essentially, like just to start.
I mean, you can.
Page 1, the magic rabbit appears. An example of this, and I use this movie all the time, is The Matrix.
Do you really?
I do.
Do you mention The Matrix a lot?
I do, indeed. He gets a message from Trinity on his computer while he's asleep at his desk in the very first scene that he's in. So it says, follow the white rabbit and something about The Matrix. So immediately he is being caught, like, what is The Matrix is a question he is asking, it's a question the audience is asking, and it launches him straight away. Other films, like Star Wars, will take a little longer. They'll show Luke staring at the sun while John Williams' brilliant music plays, which I'm glad that we get that, because it's wonderful music and the more than one sun is really weird. And it also demonstrates that he wants to get off his boring planet.
And it's fine. As I say, I don't mind either. Either is good.
Me too.
It's good to explore your character, why they want to be motivated, and it's good to go straight in with the motivation. It's both ways work. As I say, what doesn't work is having a passive protagonist the entire way through who is just reacting to things and living their life and bumping off things that happen around them.
Yeah.
People won't bother. They won't come back and watch another film you write. They will not come back and read another book you write. They will just say, no, this is boring, not for me. And that is not what you want as a writer.
Another great example of the immediate transition from from mundane to magic is Field of Dreams. Kevin Costner's character, first time you see him, he walks out into his field and you start hearing this whispered, ghostly voice saying, if you build it, they will come, right? That's weird. And it launches him into a kind of obsession, which again, speaking about being active, if you can make your character develop an obsession.
Driven, really driven.
They are going to pursue what it is that they need to pursue. And then the audience, your reader, can play with feelings of perhaps they should not be obsessed. Maybe this is a negative pursuit for them, and I hope they don't get what they want, because it's going to end up harming them.
But either way, whether your audience wants them to get what they want or not, at least they want something. At least your audience is having an emotional response.
Yes, which is what you want. And you can't want much when you're watching somebody idle through a life, even if you're demonstrating to your reader that their life is mundane and unsatisfying, and that when the story eventually starts, at God knows when, it's going to be worthwhile, because just let's get there already.
Yeah, exactly. Right? I completely agree.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is why you should not have a passive protagonist, what a passive protagonist is, and how to give your character, your protagonist, make them active.
Yeah, if you think that you've got examples of good movies, good books, good stories with very passive protagonists, do talk to us.
Oh yeah, if you've got an example of a good passive protagonist, put a comment below and we'll talk about it, because we would like to then watch that or read that and find out why it's good.
Yeah.
Because that would be interesting. I absolutely agree. If you disagree with us, tell us. We want to know why.
And there might be something in it to create a piece of drama with, that breaks these rules and yet satisfies the audience or the reader. That is an ambitious task. I don't recommend you take that challenge, but you might be very confident. I can do a passive protagonist who doesn't do anything and make the best story ever told, right? But
try if you want to.
Yeah.
We'd like to know why it works. But yeah, tell us. Drop a comment below. Also, tell us a comment below if you've got a writing question that you have or something you want us to talk about. We want to try and answer as many questions as we get, and bring you the writing advice that you actually want, which I hope is what we're doing. Yeah.
I agree.
It's what we're aiming to do. That is our active protagonist role. We are hoping, we are aiming, we are driven by wanting to bring you the writing advice that you want.
Yes.
See?
And you're driven enough to be watching us.
Exactly. You are driven. You want to learn how to be a better writer, a more confident writer, which is why you are choosing to do something.
Remember, before you started to pursue this goal of becoming a better writer by watching
you were
weirdos on the internet,
you weren't doing anything.
You were passive.
You
now
were boring. Active. Now you are active and interesting. Yes.
Sorry, I'm a weirdo. You're perfectly not a weirdo.
I appreciate that and I agree. Anyway, come find us on social media. I'll put links to everything below, but we are on Twitter. I'm Judy Ann Rose and he's John Merck, and we are always talking writing over there, so come find us. We would like that. We would like to talk to you and find out your opinions and your thoughts on writing. So yeah, do that. If you could like this video and subscribe to our channel, you will help us grow. That is an active pursuit we have, the growth of our YouTube channel.
It is. That's why we want to encourage you to please do those things.
Please like
Turn on
and
your
subscribe.
notifications so
Exactly.
that you get alerted to our next video.
Exactly. In an active and interesting way.
Yeah.
Am I over-ladening this now?
Ladening it? Yes, you are over-ladening it.
You know what? Shakespeare invented words.
He did.
So, thank you very much for watching, and we will be back again soon. Yeah, check out all the links below to everything we've got going on. Come talk to us, and we will be back soon with another video.
Awesome.
Bye.